Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I am doing well, thank you.
How is the skiing going today for you?
It is quite lovely. I like it here in Deer Valley. It is much more relaxing than Davos.
Oh, so you were in Davos for the World Economic Forum. I am surprised we did not meet.
Well, I am a researcher, so I was working most of the time and only was skiing a little bit. I am on vacation now and enjoying my time on the slopes. What were you doing in Davos?
I am a researcher too, but I was usually skiing and drinking and hanging out at the discos.
I am sad to hear that I am a serious academic who puts research first. Then I like to relax and play.
I am a serious researcher too, but I mostly like to play. In fact, I would like you to join me for cocktails at the Stein Erikson Lodge. And maybe we can do the snuggle after that in my suite.
Oh really, that is a little bit aggressive for a bear you have never met, isn't it?
I am sorry, it is aggressive. Maybe just cocktails today. But since you were a fellow researcher, I thought we had something in common.
Well, maybe we do, and I do like your funky ski outfit. But do you really do serious research?
Yes, I am quite serious about my research and totally unbiased.
That is great. What do you research?
I research financial services in the United States.
I also do financial services research in the United States. Have you published anything recently?
No, I have been reviewing research projects as a consultant.
That sounds interesting. Who are you working for?
It is a group called the Center for Responsible Lending.
Well, that sounds good. Certainly the United States needs lenders in this consumer liquidity crisis.
Well, the Center for Responsible Lending actually does not lend money to anyone.
Oh, then how can there be a Center for Responsible Lending if they don't lend?
I am not exactly sure how that works. I am just a consultant.
So if this Center for Responsible Lending does not lend, then what does it do?
Well, it does research.
I see. I am surprised I did not see them in Davos.
Well, I am not sure their research would be recognized by any of the people in Davos.
That does not make sense. Surely if they do not lend, they are at least responsible researchers.
Would you like to go back to my suite and do the snuggle?
It sounds like you are changing the subject. Surely a consultant like you who reviews the Center for Responsible Lending's research would agree their research is responsible, even if they do not lend money and their name is misleading.
Can I get you a cocktail?
Maybe later, but tell me about their research. What is the last thing they published?
I have a great suite with a hot tub. The concierge can send up the cocktails.
You are quite charming, but let's put the research question to bed before we go to bed.
Okay, if you insist. The latest research I reviewed was a vindication of the Card Act.
Is that the Credit Card Disclosure Act that was implemented in the United States in 2010?
Yes, you were right. The research indicates that the Card Act has been helpful and has not reduced the amount of credit available to consumers.
Well, I suppose that is great. It is good to see our government do something that is helpful for the citizens. Are you allowed to share the data?
Sure, we can bring it up on my iPad now. The data is on the Center for Responsible Lending's website.
Great. Wow. This chart says it is less expensive to have a credit card loan today than it was back in the middle of the economic expansion from 2005 to 2007. That is good news.
Yes, we thought so as well.
It does seem strange, though, with the economy being worse and regulations being higher and less competition. This lending data is at least counterintuitive. I know I am only looking at this for the first time, but is this the nominal rate or the spread over LIBOR which dictates the pricing for virtually all of the credit cards?
It appears to be the nominal rate.
Well, during the period from 2005 to 2007, what was the LIBOR rate?
Around 5.5%.
And today, what is the LIBOR rate?
Almost zero.
Oh. Well, according to the math I learned at Davos, it seems like it was up to 500 basis points lower pricing for credit card loans back then than it is now.
Well, that is not relevant. All of the banks were tricking their consumers back then.
I see. That is the kind of trick I like.
What kind of trick is that?
Where I can borrow at the lowest possible rate due to appropriate price discrimination which prices credit cards according to credit risk.
Oh, you must be an economist.
No, I am just an average bear. I am not an economist, but certainly not a communist who thinks everyone should pay the same rate for unsecured lending regardless of their risk profile.
You could be right. I am not an economist either, only a consultant. But the economy was much better back then.
What did you say?
The economy was better then.
That makes a lot of sense. So you are saying that in economic analysis we should always control for the economy and other external factors.
Yes, any unbiased consultant would agree that we should control for external effects in our analysis.
Okay, but we can agree from this chart that credit card lending as measured by the spread over LIBOR was much lower in the past for the average United States consumer.
As a consultant, I would have to agree with that conclusion.
So other than the government limiting competition and the economy melting down, what else has changed?
I am not sure.
Well, my research has shown that the United States economy is not homogeneous and at the very least it can be divided into prime and subprime.
How is that done?
In many ways, but the most basic way is a FICO score. Lower scores are subprime and often have much higher interest rates.
Oh,
My research also shows that the percentage of credit card receivables that are subprime are far lower today than they were from 2005 to 2007.
oh,
Notwithstanding that your client did not take into account the LIBOR spread, surely they controlled for this distributional change in FICO scores.
why would that be necessary?
Well, generally subprime loans would have higher average rates. So if nothing else changed, the rates should be lower now than back then.
But they are not lower, they are higher.
Yes.
But the economy is worse.
At Davos, I learned that controlling for only one factor while not looking at others that are equally important can skew your research. I certainly hope you can do the snuggle better than you can consult your responsible clients.
I am a good snuggler. I can also ski, snowboard and ride snowmobiles. But first let's go to the hot tub.
That sounds good. It sounds like you can do everything but consulting. So what was the primary finding of this research?
I told you. The finding was the Card Act was successful because rates paid by consumers have improved and there has been no contraction in the availability of credit.
Is it possible the rates paid by consumers since the beginning of the Card Act have been affected by the high amount of charge-offs in the United States that I learned about at Davos?
I am not sure.
Well, if the most risky customers charged off and they were not replaced or were replaced by more credit-worthy customers, that would lower the average interest rate, I believe.
You are quite tricky. Are you going to handcuff me when we get to my suite?
I might handcuff you then, but I am being simple here. And you are surely being logically handcuffed now. But I know your research once again looked at the distributional effect of FICO scores.
It did not.
Maybe you and your client need a little blue pill to help enhance your research and make it stronger and more durable.
That is not necessary. I am robust and ready to go.
But a bit biased.
Well, I am a consultant, so maybe I am biased. And my client is a Center for Responsible Lending that does not lend money, so maybe they are biased.
Okay, that is a great confession. I am ready to go to your hot tub in your suite. But at least tell me that before you and your client proclaimed this Card Act to be successful, you did a cost-benefit analysis.
What?
Well, it is clear you have not accounted for the most basic FICO score distributional changes. And you assume the peak in charge-offs did not lower the average current finance charge rate. Ignoring those errors, I am sure you did the most basic review. In order to declare something successful, it must return more than it cost. I learned that in Davos. How much did it cost?
I don't know.
Don't worry. The concierge can send up a little blue pill with the cocktails. Let's go now. Cheers.
But what about the availability of credit? Don't leave me hanging here.
We can discuss that in the hot tub after your little blue pill and cocktails. If I suggested out loud that revolving consumer credit is just as available now as it was before, well, then we would be shut off from the cocktails because the concierge would know we have been overserved. Let's go have fun.